Good day, everyone. My name is Mariami Akopian. I am from University of Doha for Science and Technology in Qatar. Today, I am delighted to present my research paper on multicultural education in English language teaching, with a special focus on challenges and opportunities in the Middle Eastern context, where linguistic diversity and cultural complexity intersect in unique ways. The research presentation discusses multicultural education in ELT context. It describes culturally responsive teaching, pedagogical implications, and their practical classroom strategies, and summarizes with regional challenges happening in the Middle East. To begin with, we have to define what is multicultural education. It stands for a deliberate process that nurtures democratic citizenship through accurate, comprehensive, and socially educational experiences. We all teachers would agree that in our classrooms we have learners from various linguistic and cultural backgrounds. They all engage in our English language learning environment. And as a result, all our classrooms naturally become multicultural environments. So multicultural education provides an essential framework that promotes both theoretical understanding and practical methods for developing inclusive and equitable English language teaching. It is important to mention that multicultural education emerged as a response to the growing cultural diversity present in societies and their educational systems. A multicultural approach to ELT involves three central domains. First, recognition of identity and voice. Second, inclusive curriculum design. And third, intercultural competence. By recognizing our students' identities means we are validating their cultural and linguistic backgrounds. They serve valuable assets to their learning process. An inclusive ELT curriculum aligns with the goals of multicultural education by situating learning within a global context that values cultural variation and multilingualism. And the third component, intercultural competence, refers to our learners' ability to communicate effectively and respectfully with individuals from various cultural backgrounds by recognizing stereotypes and managing misunderstanding in the classroom. An inclusive curriculum integrates multiple cultural perspectives and challenges the dominance of Western-centric or inner-circle English-speaking contexts. For example, reading materials may include short stories from African, Asian, and Middle Eastern writers, rather than focusing exclusively on British or American texts. This not only broadens students' worldviews, but also reflects the real-world diversity of English usage. Moving to culturally responsive teaching, we have to admit that educators are no longer seen as neutral transmitters of knowledge, but cultural mediators. Instead, our roles have extended to develop self-awareness of cultural assumptions and biases, avoid culturally assaultive classrooms that marginalize minority learners, and engage in continuous professional development in culturally responsive teaching. Because our students come to the classroom with various cultural perspectives, a teacher's understanding of each student's home culture and the embracing of culturally relevant teaching are important to advance their learning. A focus on culturally relevant pedagogy is needed because it promotes the idea of teaching students based on their cultural strengths, being actively exposed to various aspects of teaching and learning processes. The importance of prejudice reduction lies in creation of attitudes that help students to develop more positive racial and ethnic understanding of others. For example, Chinese students do not speak directly in front of the whole class. Instead, Chinese teachers often fill the silence, preventing Chinese students from speaking. Such situation in North American classrooms can make the students appear to be unmotivated or slow learners rather than expressing their culture. As a result, it's crucial for English teachers to focus on creating an inclusive space that allows all learners to actively participate without fear or judgment. Such engagement reinforces the idea that education is not only about acquiring the knowledge, but also about building inclusive communities that celebrate diversity. In English language teaching, multicultural education emphasizes that all learners, regardless of their background, should encounter a curriculum that values their linguistic and cultural heritage while providing equitable opportunities for success. This incorporation of multicultural principles not only enhances academic achievement, but also fosters respect, empathy, and collaboration in linguistically diverse classrooms. To effectively implement multicultural pedagogy, teachers should first conduct a needs analysis to identify students' prior linguistic knowledge, cultural experiences, and learning goals. This initial step ensures that instruction is contextually relevant and tailored to learners' unique needs. Cooperative learning strategies and interactive discussions allow students to build understanding collectively. So this approach also mirrors Vygotskian social constructivism, where knowledge emerges through social interaction rather than isolated study. As for ELT context, this extends beyond ethnicity and nationality to include gender, socioeconomic background, disability, and linguistic variation. By enriching classroom materials, educators normalize differences and promote inclusion. To empower multicultural education in ELT classrooms, the following pedagogical approaches have been shaped by the body of scholarly literature that are found particularly effective. Number 1. Inclusive text and media. We incorporate here global Englishes and diverse literacy voices, such as works from African, Middle Eastern, and South Asian authors. Number 2. Identity projects. We encourage students to create autobiographical essays, cultural portfolios, or digital storytelling projects. Number 3. Critical media literacy. Through guiding our learners to analyze representations, stereotypes, and power relationship in media texts. Number 4. Intercultural learning tasks. We might encourage our learners to use role plays, simulations, and culture circles that require learners to navigate their intercultural scenarios. Number 5. Validation of world Englishes. We can promote awareness that English is a global language, but with multiple legitimate forms, so we shouldn't be only limited to British or American variations. And number 6, by creating safe learning environments, we have to establish clear classroom norms that promote respect, empathy, and open-mindedness. Moving to regional challenges in Middle Eastern context, a common resistance to embracing multicultural curricular approaches lies in the confronting challenge among many educators with respect to conceptualizing the classroom with ethically and linguistically diverse group of learners. By implementing multicultural education in English language teaching within the Middle Eastern context presents a unique set of opportunities and challenges. These challenges stem from factors such as language variation, migration patterns, gender norms, standardized curricula, and differs from levels of teacher preparedness. Another dimension is migration and labor mobility, which have transformed educational demographics in Gulf countries and beyond. Gender norms and cultural expectations further shape classroom interactions. In some Middle Eastern contexts, gender segregation remains prevalent, or societal norms influence how male and female participation differs in society. Multicultural education stands as a transformative framework aimed at promoting equity, inclusion, and social justice across educational contexts. Its integration into English language teaching is important in today's globalized world, where English functions as both a communicative tool and a cultural bridge among speakers from diverse backgrounds. So within this framework, ELT exceeds its traditional focus on linguistic competence and embraces the broader goals of intercultural understanding, empathy, and global citizenship. Educator preparedness and professional development remain crucial challenges in the context of multicultural education. Many ELT professionals in Middle East are expatriates from Western or Asian countries who may lack an understanding of local cultural norms. Without sufficient training in multicultural or culturally responsive pedagogy, these teachers risk unintentionally perpetuating classroom practices that may marginalize certain student groups. Misunderstanding may arise from humor, body language, or discussion topics that conflict with local customs. Therefore, teacher training programs must prioritize intercultural competence and regional awareness. So regular workshops, mentoring programs, and reflective practice sessions can equip educators with the tools to design culturally sensitive and inclusive educational settings. At the policy level, governments and educational authorities often emphasize the preservation of national identity while promoting English as a global language. By recognizing and addressing multicultural challenges faced by ELT specialists in Middle East, educators can transform these obstacles into opportunities for innovation in intercultural learning. The successful integration of multicultural education in Middle Eastern context relies on a combination of policy reform, teacher training, and localized curriculum design. When these integrations align, English classrooms can become inclusive communication spaces where learners develop linguistic competence alongside intercultural empathy, critical thinking, and global awareness. And to conclude today's discussion on multicultural education, I would like to highlight one more time the importance of multicultural education in ELT, as it is not limited to teaching about different cultures, but it rather involves cultivating the skills that students need to constructively build across cultural differences. In the Middle Eastern context, where linguistic, cultural, and social diversity intersect in complex ways, the implementation of multicultural education presents both challenges and opportunities. While issues such as linguistic diversity, gender norms, and standardized curricula and policy constraints stand as challenges, they also provide possibility for pedagogical innovation and intercultural dialogue. Thank you very much for your attention. I look forward to your questions and to discussing ways we can continue promoting exclusive, culturally responsive English language teaching.